Hello there, fellow villagers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to ASKA. Episode 6, Hiring the First Town Guard. Alright, next phase is 35 sticks, 10 long sticks, and 15 rope. I've already delivered all but 4. True, technically the first phase was preparing the ground. Let's see. Stop getting wild eggs and feathers. We really don't need more. I have so many wild eggs and feathers from you. I am really low on flax. So sourcing the rope we need is gonna be a bit annoying. But that's what the farmer's for. The farmer is having some sort of work stoppage, though. What's going on with you? Are you done? You need rakes. Oh, yeah, let's go make another rake. I can make bark back into the rope once the weaver's built, but I don't have the weaver yet. So I need 2 ropes, 6 sticks for the new rake. But the weaver will help make use of the bark, turning it back into fibers for rope. True. It's probably the best first upgrade to the hut to do for that purpose. So that you don't have to go out foraging for flax. Because foraging for flax tends to not highlight very nicely for the resource ping. So it's harder to find as a result. In my opinion. Like, you can definitely spot it. Like, I've been spotting it. But in a deeper forest, it blends into the bushes pretty well. So our farmer's been bottlenecked, not having enough not having a rake to farm with. Hopefully that hasn't been very long. And it will throw alerts here, so I'm not producing rakes for your farm, and eventually when I have a few more villagers, I can add a craftsperson to work in the hut to automatically supply tools. So that there's always like 1 rake, 1 axe, 1 pick, you know, in the supply here. That way I don't have to manage that myself. Alright, all that's left is to deliver 1 rope. And the next phase is the roofing. So 30 bark. And one of the builders, Major Mildew's already delivering a whole bunch of bark. There. So now we only have 1 bark to deliver. And he beat me to it. Unlike a lot of the other village builder games, the villagers here are, like, ridiculously efficient at times. Just single-mindedly hoovering up resources and delivering them quick. Which is why I love the NPCs are, I don't know, it just feels good. Because I've played a lot of games like this where, like, the NPCs are slow as molasses, and you're just like, oh god, I could do what you do in a fraction of the time. Why would I bother hiring? Oh, he's already going to beat me to the long stick. I picked one up and he was like, nope, too slow. And here he's blitzing over to the short sticks. I'm not even going to worry about it. He's gonna beat me again, so I will manage something else. I'm gonna move the farm seeds over to the farm. And here is our first cottage. Boom. So this cottage, if we open up the structure, has a morale of 193 because it is next to a bunch of things that are lovely and not next to anything that is ugly. It is an amazing place to sleep. So without a further ado, Mr. Cranky Sappo, you get to be in the cottage. So we went from like a house of 12 to a cottage of 193. Yeah, it's a big, big difference if you design your village like this. And I'll also put, I am going to now summon another villager while I build the Weavery. So let's get the Weavery going. And I want to phase out the shelters because they were never intended to be permanent. So the Weaver goes there. Cool. And shelter 1, 0, 2... So shelter 3 can get broken down. I'm no longer using shelter 3. Shelter 5, shelter 4, shelter 2, shelter 1. So this is shelter 3. Dismantle. Because we can use some of these materials to just build the Weavery. Because I definitely don't need it for shelter anymore. On top of that, it's worth noting, because of the huge bonus that this this cottage has, I can add more beds to it. So it comes with a fireplace, which is really good for the winter, and then you can just add more thatch beds. So I think what I'll do is I'll limit 3 people to a shelter, but you can obviously do a lot more. Like I could fit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beds in one cottage, but I don't want to divide the morale bonus 8 ways. Can you get the frick out of here? What I will need, though, for that bed is thatch, and my start location is not particularly good for thatch. Because I didn't build near the beaches. So there might be a lake nearby my start location that has thatch. But thatch is one of those resources that is going to be just a little bit of labor intensive to fetch because of where the mine is, and it's fine. So I'm running out to the coast to go grab some thatch myself. And then in the future, I can maybe employ like an outpost for thatch, but that's probably overkill because the amount of thatch I need is not that much. I meant to summon in another villager, and I got distracted. Oh, there's another wolf nest. Good to know. Yeah. You want to eat me. And villagers aren't, like, capable of evading wolves quite like the player is, which is why you gotta be really careful where you have your villagers go. Because they will happily go face first into a nest full of wolves and get shredded to death if you allow them. With that said, once you have access to a little bit of armor, that really turns the tides in the fight. You know, once you start cranking out like metal armor, your NPCs can start tanking and fighting quite well. So they're not helpless for long. Plus, if you level up high-level bowmen, they are really good at sniping out enemies from, like, watchtowers. The beaches will have wisps. These enemies are like easy as hell to kill. So do not fear them. They're easy to kill. And they drop fibers and sometimes sticks. Ooh, good. I'm all the way out here and it's gonna storm on me as night falls. I am gonna drop the bark because I'm not gonna have room for thatch. So I'll just I'll just pick up as much thatch as I can fit in my inventory, and then turn back. I don't want to talk about the wolf dens just yet, because it becomes a spoiler pretty quickly. I'm trying to avoid those. Okay, I'm full up. Let's turn back. So hopefully spending a night in the awesome house will help with Sapo's morale. The other thing that we can consider is building a hedge tower and having him guard, because that will help out as well. Should I build a hedge tower for Sapo to guard? Sapo is our stone cutter, and we probably don't have need of a lot of stone right now. And he doesn't lose his proficiency in cutting stone by temporarily assigning him elsewhere, for whatever it's worth. So, like, if we did decide to put him as a guard for a day or two, he will only ever gain guarding experience. He won't lose mining experience. The wolves are so pissed I encroached on the territory. I'm like, I don't care. The rolling and dodging mechanics, actually, I'm not good at it, but it's pretty easy to evade enemies that way. And you guys think I should build a hedge tower. So once the Weavery is done, I'll do just that. The best place to build a hedge tower is probably going to be near the workplaces. So I'll probably drop one near all the gathering huts. Because there's workplace, there is sleep anxiety and work anxiety. So you want guards like where you sleep and where you work. I guess it doesn't really matter which. Maybe I'll put it. The advantage of the workplace is more people work over here than people sleep in the hut. That's why I would want it to guard the workplaces. But I don't think it really matters in the long run, because I'll be covering both eventually. I don't like sleeping here. It's defenseless. Oh, you just Sapo. You so hard to make happy. You've got the nicest house in the entire village, and you're still pissing and moaning. So I will. I'll summon up another villager in just a second, and then build the hedge tower. Yeah, the biggest problem for the tower is what corner of the settlement to build it on. I can also do a watchtower, for whatever it's worth. So there's two types of towers that I have access to right now. There is the hedge towers, which is a basic guard tower, and the tall, flimsy tower, which provides a good vantage point. Maybe I'll just do a watchtower, like, kind of in the middle of things. Before I do that, I'm gonna refuel the torch, so that the The bad bunnies leave my crops alone. Yeah, these crops are, the initial plot of crops are 80% grown, so we're going to have a harvest pretty soon. Which is handy dandy. I don't have anyone working in the workshop hut, so I have to make the rope myself, which is not a big deal. But the weavery should be done in just a moment. So the only other thing that I need is blood. I've got 2 on me, so I need 3 more. Twonker and Tannering, thank you for the resubs. And good evening to both of you. Bunny's a little freaked out that I ran straight at it. Or whatever they are. Jackalope. Chupacabra. I only need 1 more small node. Oh, I found a Draugr field. Okay. Definitely not safe traveling too far south of the village, because there are going to be hella zombies over this way. And Draugrs are, oh god, they're surrounding me. They are stronger than anything I've fought so far. So, stay away from them. I'm trying not to lure them back to town. Okay, yep, they're resetting their aggro. Good. Good to know! South, danger, danger. I didn't fully scout out that direction. And, yeah. Oh well. It's fine. Won't feel safe sleeping in that cottage anymore? I don't need to tell them. They don't need to know. Yeah, no one snitched that we're next to a Draugr field. Or I'll tell on you. Now you can see their sphere of influence. We're not, like, we'd have to venture down towards them to really piss them off. But I definitely don't want to set up any harvest flags down that way. It would be very detrimental. Alright, next one to summon. We have got Halmar or Frederick. So, the left one is a Snowstrider Windrider, so snow and wind, and the right one is Stout and a Feeble Logger. Will be up to you. Man, that bunny really just wants me to shoot it. I don't have, like, recipes for cooking yet, so that's why I haven't been hunting them. They don't really benefit from it, but it's just hanging out there. Well, I might as well level up my range combat, I guess. Are you stuck? No. Just dumb. Get lost, pest. Oh. Maybe I'll get another horn. Look, the scraps. Yo, I did get another horn. Awesome. The horns are you know, important to amass for town guard reasons. I do have the capacity to make myself better bow and better arrows, and I probably ought to do that at some point. But let's get summoning. So here we go. We want Hjalmar. Or Hjalmar. I don't know. I'm not Nordic. I don't know the language, so excuse my ignorance. We're almost done with the Weavery. I'll just deliver the few resources left. And then we'll build the hedge tower. The other thing we could do is, and I probably end up doing this because I'm about to summon a new person, is I'll have Major Mildew guard the tower rather than Sapo. And then have Sapo benefit from just having a town guard, because Major Mildew has better combat stats than Sapo, so we might as well have the person that's going to be better at combat do the guarding. How was the night for the cottage sleeper? Morale has gone up 2. Now that we have the loom, I can turn bark into fibers, and then we can also start making simple flax clothing. Some of the more complex flax clothing requires a leather worker, which is likely the thing I would build after the hedge tower. So speaking of the hedge tower, let's get that laid out. Knowing that there is a potential danger to the south, I think building a hedge tower facing south makes the most sense. So something like right here. So that's my next terraforming project. A bunch of my tools are about to break, so before I continue with the hedge tower, I'm gonna stick my basically fully broken tools into storage to build myself some new ones. I'll pass the buck. Someone will pick up the tool, use it once, and break it. Be like, why did anyone put this away? Yeah, I always have a giggle when I hear them poo. So we need a new hoe. And what else? A new hammer. Cool. So once we have the hedge tower, we can start to try to surround our base with hedge walls. It's rather expensive, but buildings enclosed in wall perimeters receive small defensive score. So the tower itself has a sphere of influence around it, and but if you surround your village with walls, that sphere of influence expands, which is the eventual goal. It's just kind of an expensive one. Did I just... oh. Yeah, I don't know where that log went. That was right there. But knowing that all of these fir trees are blocking where the hedge wall is eventually going to go, cutting these trees down is useful for later. I'm going to reignite the lantern, too. The stone lanterns, even when they don't run out of fuel, they do go out on their own, which is why you require, you know, torch keepers from a building hut. Hey, Wasteland Puppy! You caught me at the very end! What were you playing today? I got a lot of raids today. Oh, some vintage story. Sweet! How's your run treating you? Well, I hope. Despite getting stormed on, everything's pretty well over here. Oh, also, I should have been doing a raffle timer for the next villager. And if you're wondering, Sapo's now up to 45. So Sapo's gone from like 35 happiness to 45 happiness. And this tower is going to help because there will be, it will resolve sleep anxiety. Which is one of the major concerns that Sapo has. Where's the other log? I'm trying to, like, clip into the hedge tower. Alright, so here's Hjalmar and, Summer Angler, Green Thumb, Nocturnal Resilience. Being Green Thumb, might mean that they should, man the farm. So I put them in the farm, and I can take, scrap code out of the farm and figure out what scrap code is good at. And then we'll put them in the cottage as well. Yeah, the Green Thumb trait, reducing the time it takes to grow stuff, is pretty handy. Alright, what do you need? You couldn't find any log or rope. Well, log is just a matter of cutting down trees. For rope, I'm gonna grab a bunch of the bark. Oh, I'm full up. And turn the bark into rope. Or into fibers into rope. There was also a bunch of fibers in the farm, too. And I'll work on the logs. So the current priority now is build a hedge tower. Or basic defenses. And the person guarding on the hedge tower acts as like a town guard, so they will initiate combat on enemies automatically. It's kind of what they're hired for. And on top of that, they provide security to the places around them, leveling up their combat skills. And there's a sphere of influence for the hedge tower, which I'll show you once it's built. And I'm also treating this task as a opportunity to clear cut some of the trees that are going to block the hedge wall. Did the old farmer drop tools? That's a good question. Probably not. So, scrap code. I'm going to take... No, scrap code doesn't have a rake. So I think it's fine. I don't see any, I don't see that the farmer doesn't have, tools at the moment. So I guess he did put his, rake away. It probably would help for me to build another rake, like a spare rake. But at the moment we need logs for the hedge wall, so I'm just focusing on cutting down trees for that. So that's what we're bottlenecked on. I want a 300. There it is. So you had a community server, so your vintage story, and you've already moved multiple times. Yeah, forming a village on a negative stability zone is rough. Rough not to notice, and then subsequently go, oh yeah, we can't settle here. Been there, done that. It is unfortunate. And the winner, turtle sandwich. Turtle sandwich the farmer. My guess is my woodcutter ink probably doesn't have a proper axe anymore, which is why the logs aren't being supplied. So I'm gonna try to work to remedy that. Taking a look at what's in stock. We don't have any... We do have a spare axe. Never mind, I take it back. We have a spare pick. We don't have a spare rake, though. So I'm going to make sure that we have a spare rake in stock. And this is something that, like, the future craftsman will do automatically when I queue up crafting orders. So I don't have to do this personally. It's just because it doesn't take a lot of effort, and there's also goals to be able to make tools and weapons and rakes yourself. It's good initially to handle this yourself because your craftsman early game tends to be idle most of the time, just because there isn't like a high volume of things for them to do, generally speaking. So that's why I've been handling it myself. So now we're on the second phase of the hedge tower, which is sticks and long sticks, which are getting delivered real quick. Yeah, I think you're right. I did lower the log priority. I think what happened was they had cut down so many trees for logs that there was a lot of, like, log debris left around the map. And as a result, the woodcutter then was just cleaning up all that log debris. So now that we have the hedge tower, if I mouse over it, you can see the sphere of influence, which covers the cottage, the farm, but not the original workplaces. And I'll manage workers, and I'm going to put Major Mildew in here, as Major Mildew has really good traits. Major Mildew is going to want access to a bow and arrows to be able to guard in the tower. So I'm going to, my next task is to supply said bow and arrow. And I'm not going to do the basic bow, I'm going to do a simple bow. So an upgraded bow from the flimsy one that I have. And then also give him bone tip arrows, meaning I need to go get feathers as well. Which I have ridiculous amounts of feathers in the material storage from the gatherer gathering them. Simple bow and bone tip arrows. I'll even put my regular wooden arrows in because I don't want those anymore. I'm going to make myself some bone tip arrows as well. And I'm going to give myself a better bow because I don't need the base bow anymore. I've outgrown that. And eventually we can get a longbow once there's carpentry, but that's a bit long, a bit of ways off. Carpentry is a... Calling it mid-game might be a bit of a misnomer, but it's not something you do early on, because it requires metal. Carpentry requires hardwood, and hardwood requires metal tools. So it's not something you rush towards normally. Nice. So now I have the upgraded bow as well. Fantastic. At this point, the farm worker... So Sappo works as a stone cutter, so he won't have the bonus of work anxiety relief, but we will get sleep anxiety relief. So anyone sleeping in the cottage benefits from the cottage being guarded by a guard. The other thing that might make sense is to remedy the work anxiety for the other side. Meaning putting a guard tower up here on the hill, which covers the initial huts. This one's a little annoying to like walk to, but somewhere up here is gonna have the sphere of influence cover for everything down below. Maybe put it there. Pin that. And I don't really have anyone to staff it at the moment. I mean, I could put scrap code, because scrap code doesn't have work at the moment in there. But that's probably something I would probably employ a guard there, not now, but once I expand the population a bit. The other thing I'm going to do, even though I'm just about out of time for the stream, is to queue up the leatherworker on the other half of this. So the leatherworker, as you can see, is a bigger building than the Weavery. And the leatherworker is going to allow us to start making the warmer clothing. So the stuff that requires cured leather, and that provides cold resistance and armor. And a little armor goes a long way when it comes to combat. And yes, my meat is cooked because I just got the barbecue. Whoa, the hell? No, I don't want to. Okay. I'm going to keep this meat for myself. I was hungry. And that's, this is a pretty good summary of, like, what you should aim for your first few hours, I would say. Like, the tasks that I've done, setting up the 3 basic huts, the craft hut, a cottage, basic guard tower, and making sure to lay out your facilities so that your sleep and your work are in 2 separate locations so that they don't overlap one another and conflict with one another. Oh, the other thing is the last person I added in, Turtle Sandwich, should be on the mid schedule. So we have 3 mid. Oh, no, the early schedule, sorry. We have 3 early, 3 mid, so that they don't compete for the finite wooden altar spots. And then the other thing to note is that the cottage, now that it has more people sleep, or actually it only has 2 people sleeping in it. So let's move whoever's in shelter 2, Inc., into the cottage. So now you can see the cottage only provides a 118 benefit because it's split 3 ways. The more crowding, the lower the benefit. So shelter 2 is empty and is free to be moved, like someone new to be moved in. So in this case, I do find it kind of useful to have like one house that is super good for morale to help out whoever's in the worst mood and to cycle them in and out, and then to have the other people kind of like roughing it as long as they're happy. But friends, I think this is where I am going to leave off for this stream. Thank you for tuning in to ASKA, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below, but please keep in mind I've asked for no backseating and no spoilers, so if you can avoid those in the comments, that would be great. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Vikings.